Hi, everybody. Gloria Moraga here, political woman. Wanted to go into some of the sound bites and share them with you from the Trump meeting in the Oval Office with the King of Jordan. Trump met briefly with the king, and then they went to the Oval Office, in front of the fireplace there. Had an availability, and there were a lot of foreign press members in that room, and it was brilliant to see some of the questions being asked because they were really getting into it, something that American press corps doesn't seem to want to do anymore. First, just some short background on King Abdullah. He ascended to the throne in February 1999. He is a member of the Hashemites, the reigning royal family of Jordan since 1921. And get this, he is considered the 41st generation direct descendant of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. So this guy has credentials, okay? He really does. And he has been, his family has been, a friend of the United States throughout various administrations, Democrat and Republican. Jordan has been a friend to the United States. Now, they begin asking questions, reporters, and after the first reporter's question, the king begins to look extremely uncomfortable. Here's the first soundbite.
Mr. President, why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly. I think maybe you want to say it now, or?
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? Right. And obviously, we have to look at the best interests of the United States, of the people in the region, especially to my people of Jordan. And we're going to have some interesting discussions today. I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on Gaza challenges.
So
I want to tell you, excuse me, wait, just please. I didn't know that what you just said, 2,000 children with cancer or other problems, and that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it.
Jordan is going to help sick Palestinian children. Great news, and he's, I think, encouraging other countries to do likewise. Now, even though you concede here that the king sidestepped Trump's comments about Palestinians and Gaza, Trump would not stop. And before I play the soundbite, I just want to say one thing. His concept for a plan for Gaza is complex. It's extraordinarily complex and dangerous. Here's the bite.
I think with Jordan, you're going to see some great progress. Three of us, and we'll have some others helping, and we're going to have some others at a very high level helping, and the whole thing will come. It's not a complex thing to do. And with the United States being in control of that piece of land, a fairly large piece of land, you're going to have stability in the Middle East for the first time. And the Palestinians, or the people that live now in Gaza, will be living beautifully in another location. They're going to be living safely. They're not going to be killed, murdered, and having to leave every 10 years. Because I've been watching this for so many years. It's nothing but trouble. Everyone's being killed. They're being robbed. It's like living in hell, and they're going to end up having a great home, great families that don't have to get mugged and killed and beaten up and harassed by Hamas and everybody else. And I know we'll be able to work something. And what you just said about the 2,000 is fantastic. It's so beautiful. It's music to my ears. But we're going to be able to work something, and I know we'll be able to work something also with I believe, not 100%, but 99% we're going to work out something with Egypt.
Now here comes what might be the worst soundbite of all. It's the "we're going to have Gaza" soundbite. And listen to the whole thing and listen to what he says at the end.
How is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has made clear taxpayer dollars won't be used for this. So what money are you going to use to buy Gaza?
We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it, and we're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it. And we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site. And we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things. And we'll make that site into what it should be. And the people from Gaza who wouldn't be able to be there for years, because you're talking about just to get it and prepare it and to take care of all of the problems that currently it has, as you know, tunnels, and people are in those tunnels. And you have some good people and some bad people, and you may have hostages right now. You know, you have the hostages possibly there. They don't know where they are. And, you know, I have a Saturday deadline, and I don't think they're going to make the deadline personally. I think they want to play tough guy, but we'll see how tough they are. But it's going to be a wonderful thing. It's going to be wonderful for the Middle East. I think it'll turn the Middle East. I think you're going to have peace in the Middle East. You're going to eventually have peace in the Middle East.
Couldn't this deadline risk undermining the talks that you're having with the King today, and risk the kind of wider peace that you're trying to?
No, because we're not talking about a big situation. We're talking about something that can go very quickly. We're talking about it's going to go quickly. It's not going to take a long time, okay? That's not going to take a long time. You know bullies? You know what a bully is, right? You know the bully, I've always, and I found it throughout my life, a bully is the weakest person. And they're bullies. Hamas is bullies. The weakest people are bullies. You know that, right?
And yes, agreed. Hamas is a bully, but Hamas is a terrorist group. And honestly, it takes one to know one. Trump is a bully. And he's bullying our allies in the Middle East right now. And he's bullying Canada. He's bullied Mexico. And to what end? It's these threats, these horrible threats. Here, he's asked about moving 2 million people. And that move, this plan, is ethnic cleansing. And that comes up.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. President, you were saying that Palestinians will live somewhere else safe. Where exactly do you want them to live?
Well, it's not where I want them to live. It's going to be where we ultimately choose as a group. And I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan. I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Egypt. We may have someplace else. But I think when we finish our talks, we'll have a place where they're going to live very happily and very safely. And, you know, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They've never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip, but they have no choice. They have to be. And they're being killed there at levels that nobody's ever seen. No place in the world is as dangerous as the Gaza Strip. They don't want to be there. They have no alternative. When they have an alternative, not one person will want to stay where they are. Nobody wants to stay there. They're living in hell. It's a death trap.
Mr. President, how do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land? Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, any questions?
And the King of Jordan answers the question here. Here's a bite.
King Abdullah, what do you think about the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip? Do you want to see the U.S. own the Gaza Strip?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the president is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the president and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present to the president, and get ahead of ourselves.
And is there a parcel of land in Jordan that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well, I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that the president is looking forward to getting a group of us Arabs here to discuss the overall plan.
The king was brilliant. He did not answer the question. And here is what he posted later on social media. Quote, he called the meeting with Trump constructive. He said, quote, he reiterated Jordan's steadfast position against the displacement of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. And this is a quote. This is the united Arab position, rebuilding Gaza without displacing the Palestinians and addressing the dire humanitarian situation should be a priority for all. End quote. Now, Trump was given a chance to let the king and other Arab nations off the hook. I mean, just step back a little. No one's going to bring it up. But instead of searching for a compromise or even attempting a compromise, he doubled down.
Are you willing to change your mind if you hear the Egyptian and the Arab plan end of the month? If they present you something different, are you open to
I
another
think
plan?
we sort of have gone down the line. We know pretty much what is going to be presented. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be magnificent for the Palestinians. They're going to be in love with it. I did very well with real estate. I can tell you about real estate. They're going to be in love with it.
But Mr. President, doesn't concern you that moving 2 million people from there?
It's a very small number of people relative to other things that have taken place over the decades and centuries. It's a very small number of people, and they're living a terrible life. Look at the way they're living now. Nobody's living like that in the entire world. They're living under buildings that are mostly fallen down and will continue to fall down. And they're living under. People are being killed every day. The conditions are horrible. There are no conditions anywhere in the world that are worse than the Gaza Strip right now.
Okay, he's wrong there. Yes, the situation in Gaza is bad, but Sudan is the worst situation in the world right now. There's an ongoing war there, mass killings, violations of human rights. Children are starving in Sudan. And then next is Gaza. I mean, we're not splitting hairs here, but I just want to say that the Congo is in dire straits right now. Ethiopia is suffering through 3 years of drought and then floods because of El Nino. Nigeria, Somalia, and on and on. There are other places in the world. And a quick note, what Elon Musk did by cutting off U.S. AID is making things worse in some of these countries that we've helped. And it's a tragedy, a mass tragedy, what we've done, what they've done in our name. And we should all be outraged at what they're doing to the United States and what they're doing to our reputation in the world and the trust level that we're not going to have any more with countries. It's not even the end of the first month. And already people are learning to hate us, including our best allies, Canada and Jordan. Now, after the next soundbite, Trump doubles down again on that deadline that he imposed for Hamas to return all hostages. Here's that sound.
So I don't want to do 2, and then we do another 2 in another week, and then we do 4 in 3 weeks. No. They either have them out by Saturday at 12 o'clock, or all bets are off.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, would you still consider withholding aid to those countries if they don't accept your plans to accept?
Well, I don't want to say that because we've had such a good relationship and we're doing so well just in the short time that we've been talking.
Here he talks about what is his authority to take Gaza. And it's frightening what he says. U.S. authority.
Mr. President, you said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it can be a diamond. It can be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East. And you're going to have peace. It's going to bring peace in the Middle East. Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long, all the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing. It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work. And those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
And just to follow up with one on that for King Abdullah, can you clarify again, sir, how do you feel about the U.S. taking Gaza, as the president said?
Well, again, this is something that we, as Arabs, will be coming to the United States with something that we're going to talk about later to discuss all these options.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
And Mr. President, would you seek to personally develop property in Gaza after this happens?
But the only thing I can say is this is going to bring stability and peace to the Middle East. And ultimately, when it's developed, which will be in quite a while from now, because we want to let things calm down. But when it's developed, it's going to bring tremendous numbers of jobs to the Middle East, including the people of your country.
So what if it does not bring peace to the Middle East? There are many Palestinians, even though you say that everything is going to be beautiful, everything is going to be lovely, they're not going to want to go back. There are going to be people who want to go back and feel like that it is their right to do that. You haven't said, will there be any type of repercussions or anything that happens?
We don't think that's going to happen. We think people are going to be very happy, thrilled. A lot of those people that you're talking about are going to end up maybe living there and maybe working there, but it'll be in a different form. We have had tremendous support for this project, and we think the biggest asset of the project is going to bring peace ultimately to the Middle East. All right.
Mr. President, one last question.
Go ahead, behind you. You've asked enough.
Mr. President, one of your promises on the campaign trail is to bring peace to the Middle East. It was a promise to your voters, Arab voters here. The Arab voters in the United States oppose this. What do you say to them?
Well, you know, if you look at Michigan, where we have a large Arab population, as you know, I was just telling the King that we won. As you know, I won the Arab population. Now, when I started off, I wasn't leading, and when I finished, a few months later, we started campaigning in Michigan. And when I finished, we won it by a tremendous amount, by 30 points. So my relationship with the Arab population has been fantastic, and my relationship with the Middle East is very good with all the countries, just about all the countries. Let's see, I would say all the countries. And they all want to do something, and they want to see peace in the Middle East. All the stories you hear about the Middle East not really wanting peace, that they want war, they want this, they want to go a certain place. Let me tell you, those stories are false. They want to have peace. I know them all very well. They want to have peace. They want to have a good life like other people. And this will be a big factor in bringing peace to the Middle East. Thank you very much, everybody.
Rubio's going to visit the Middle East next week. You know, Sunday is Trump's deadline for them to return all the hostages. And then Netanyahu followed suit and agreed with Trump. But I wanted to share this soundbite with you from a Democrat.
What the president has done is he has lit a fire and thrown it on a keg of gasoline, because what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in the Middle East is already a tinderbox. It's already on fire. And what he is doing is going to spread that fire. He has essentially called for what amounts to the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, the forced removal of 2 million Palestinians to other areas.
Like throwing gasoline on a bonfire or whatever. This is not a joke. It's not funny. It's not, you know, we in the United States have like, oh, it's just Trump saying Trump things. and people seem to accept it, but it's not. What he says affects the whole world. There was a peace agreement to return the hostages that was going fine. Yes, they looked horrible. Yes, they did. But could we just get them back before we start this again? Wanted to share. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. There is a lot going on Capitol Hill. They've started the budget reconciliation process, and I'm going to have something on that, time permitting, tomorrow. Gloria Moraga, political woman. Please subscribe. Please be safe.